The kingdom of Eberon was a shining beacon of peace and prosperity, nestled in the fertile lands of ancient Britain. Its people lived in harmony, nurtured by the blessings of the earth and protected by the strength of their armies. Eberon was led by King Cedric, a humble and wise ruler who was loved by all. He had 3 children, Aman, his eldest son born with a disability, and 2 daughters, the brilliant and brave Maeve and the kind-hearted Eliana. As Aman grew, he was often kept in the shadows of the palace, his father seeing his physical limitations as a barrier to leadership. Cedric, a man of great compassion, found himself torn between his love for his son and the kingdom's need for a strong leader to secure its future. The prophecy that would soon alter the fate of the kingdom began to whisper across the land, foretelling an invasion that would challenge everything King Cedric had built. The kingdom of Eberon was more than just fertile lands and bountiful harvests. It was a kingdom steeped in tradition and bound by the spirits of ancient ancestors. Lush green hills stretched as far as the eye could see, dotted with ancient stone circles and sacred groves where druids performed rituals to ensure the land's continued prosperity. The great river Eberon flowed through the heart of the kingdom, its waters believed to carry the blessings of the gods themselves. King Cedric of the clan Brennick ruled this vast kingdom, his wisdom earning him the love of his people. Cedric had been raised on the belief that strength, both in spirit and in arms, was essential to a kingdom's survival. His father had taught him the ways of battle, and Cedric had led his people through many victorious wars against rival clans. Now, in times of peace, Cedric was a ruler of kindness and patience, but there were few who doubted the fierce warrior that lay beneath his humble exterior. His family, however, was his most prized possession. His eldest son, Prince Aman, was born with a leg condition that rendered him unable to walk without assistance. While Cedric loved Aman, he could not help but see him as a flawed heir, someone who could never stand on the battlefield. Cedric's 2 daughters, Maeve and Eliana, had strength of their own. One was sharp in mind and politics, while the other was gentle yet resilient in heart. But the question of the kingdom's future always lingered over Cedric. Who would protect Eberon when he was gone? The opening chapters delve into the life of Prince Aman. Confined within the walls of the palace, he spends his days in the company of his sisters and tutors, his heart yearning for something greater. He studies history, the art of war, and the legends of ancient Britain, dreaming of battles he could never fight. His mind is sharp, and he often offers strategic insights during his father's council meetings, though Cedric rarely takes them seriously. At the age of 12, Aman had been humiliated when he tried to join in a royal hunt. His horse threw him, and he could not rise to defend himself when a wild boar charged. It was Maeve who saved him, and from that day, his father discouraged him from taking part in any physical activity. The memory haunted Aman, adding to the growing divide between him and his father. At this time, Eberon is enjoying an era of peace, but rumors of unrest in neighboring lands begin to surface. Strange ships have been spotted off the coast, and foreign traders speak of kingdoms falling to mysterious invaders from across the sea. These invaders are said to be merciless, taking land and enslaving entire populations. One fateful night, a druid by the name of Narrative arrives at the palace, claiming to have a vision of Eberon's future. Narrative is known throughout the kingdom as a seer with great power, his eyes clouded by the years but his mind sharp as ever. In a grand ceremony, the druid delivers his prophecy. In the shadow of peace, darkness stirs. From the eastern seas shall come a force, a storm of iron and blood. They will take what you have built, claim your fields and your treasures. But there is one who can stop them, a young man, 30 years of age, born of this royal line. He alone will rise to meet this challenge, or all shall be lost. This prophecy strikes fear into King Cedric's heart. A young man of 30, Cedric's eldest son Aman, though born of the royal line, could never lead an army. At the time of the prophecy, Aman is 24, and Cedric dismisses the idea that he could ever be the prophesied savior. Yet, the druid's words linger in the air, an ominous warning of what's to come. After hearing the prophecy, King Cedric becomes consumed with the need to protect Eberon. He begins fortifying the kingdom's defenses, calling upon the warriors of every village to begin training for the looming threat. Every able-bodied man, regardless of age, is instructed to take up arms and prepare for battle. The once peaceful fields of Eberon become filled with the sounds of clashing swords and shields. Prince Aman, still struggling with his disability, feels more alienated than ever. His father's growing obsession with military strength makes him feel invisible, as Cedric focuses entirely on the defense of the kingdom. Despite his sharp mind and deep knowledge of strategy, Aman is seen as a liability by the court, and even more tragically by his own father. By the time Aman turns 25, tensions have grown in the royal family. Aman tries to contribute to the war council, offering ideas for fortifications and battle strategies, but is often ignored. His sister Maeve becomes a voice of reason in these meetings, often defending her brother's intelligence, but even she cannot convince their father that Aman has any role in the future defense of the kingdom. After a particularly heated argument, where Aman pleads with his father to let him contribute in any way he can, Cedric makes a painful decision. He exiles Aman from the kingdom, sending him far away to the isolated village of Carnarvon, at the kingdom's borders. Cedric believes that by removing Aman from the palace, he can focus fully on preparing for the invasion without being distracted by his son's perceived weakness. In the remote village of Carnarvon, Aman is greeted with indifference. The villagers know little of the politics of the royal court, and many don't recognize him as the prince. Here, he meets Bryn, a healer who is known for her knowledge of ancient medicine and the old ways of the druids. Bryn is a woman of quiet strength, with secrets of her own. She had once been a part of the royal court but left under mysterious circumstances. When Bryn learns of Amon's condition and his exile, she takes pity on him. She offers to help him, but not in the way he expects. Bryn tells Aman that his physical condition can be improved, but that true healing must come from within. She teaches him the arts of ancient healing, using herbs and rituals passed down from the druids. Slowly, Aman begins to regain strength in his legs, but more importantly, he begins to regain his confidence. Bryn also introduces Aman to the warriors of Carnarvon, a secret group of fighters who have been training in isolation for years. These warriors are not bound by the traditions of Eberon. They use more modern weapons and fighting techniques learned from travelers and mercenaries. Aman learns from them, mastering both strategy and combat, and soon proves himself to be a formidable fighter. As Aman grows stronger, he begins to realize that the prophecy may not have been about a traditional warrior, but about someone who could lead with both mind and heart. He starts to see himself as the one destined to save Eberon, not through brute force, but through intelligence and leadership. By the time Aman turns 29, he has transformed into a warrior and a leader. His time with the people of Carnarvon has given him a new perspective on life, one that values both strength and wisdom. He decides that it is time to return to Eberon, but not as the broken prince who was exiled. He will return as a leader, ready to defend his kingdom. Before returning, Aman embarks on a journey across the kingdom, gathering allies. He visits neighboring villages, forming alliances with warriors and tribes who have long been at odds with the royal family. He brings with him the teachings of the Carnarvon warriors, blending ancient British traditions with modern techniques. His reputation begins to grow, and soon, he has an army of loyal followers, all ready to fight for him. Aman's journey also takes him deep into the forests of ancient Britain, where he encounters druids and old gods. These encounters add a mystical element to the story, as Aman begins to understand that his destiny is not just political but spiritual as well. The land of Britain itself is watching him, and the spirits of the ancestors whisper their support. Aman returns to Eberon just as the foreign invaders arrive on the shores. The kingdom is in chaos, with the enemy forces overwhelming the royal army. King Cedric, now an old man, is devastated by the failure of his defenses and the realization that he may have doomed his people. When Aman enters the palace, his father barely recognizes him. In the climactic chapters, Aman takes command of the kingdom's forces. His strategic brilliance, combined with the skills he learned in exile, turn the tide of the battle. He leads his warriors into combat, wielding both ancient weapons and the modern tools of war he had mastered. The invaders, though powerful, are no match for the united forces of Eberon and its allied tribes. The final battle takes place on the plains outside the capital, with Aman facing the leader of the invaders. This showdown is both physical and symbolic, representing the culmination of Aman's journey from forgotten heir to warrior king. With the invader defeated, Aman reclaims his place in the kingdom, fulfilling the prophecy and saving his people. In the aftermath of the battle, Aman is hailed as the true heir to the throne. His father, King Cedric, steps down, recognizing that Aman is the leader the kingdom needs. Cedric, filled with regret for having exiled his son, retires to the countryside, leaving the kingdom in Aman's hands. Aman's sisters, Maeve and Aliana, play crucial roles in the new kingdom. Maeve becomes his chief advisor, helping him navigate the complex politics of the land, while Aliana focuses on healing the wounds of war, both physically and emotionally. Together, they usher in a new era of peace and prosperity. The story ends with Aman standing at the edge of the river Eberon, looking out over the land he has saved. The prophecy has been fulfilled, but Aman knows that his journey is far from over. With his people united and his kingdom restored, he looks to the future, ready to face whatever challenges may come next. With Aman now seated as king, the political landscape of Eberon begins to shift. The war has left scars on the kingdom, both physical and emotional. Villages have been destroyed, families torn apart, and resources depleted. Aman's immediate task is to rebuild the kingdom and unite the people who have been affected by the invasion. However, restoring peace to Eberon will not be as simple as defeating the invaders. In this part of the story, we will explore the challenges of leadership that Aman now faces. His newfound strength and wisdom make him a formidable ruler, but he must balance the expectations of the people with the personal struggles that still haunt him. Amon's coronation is a solemn affair, marking both the end of the war and the beginning of a new era for Eberon. The people celebrate their new king, but Aman feels the weight of the crown more than ever. His relationship with his father, though mended somewhat, remains strained. King Cedric, now retired to a quiet village far from the capital, watches from afar, too ashamed to return to the court. Aman, despite his strength, still wrestles with feelings of inadequacy and the trauma of his exile. In these early chapters, Amon's internal struggles come to the forefront. He questions whether he is truly capable of leading a kingdom, especially when it comes to diplomacy, politics, and rebuilding. His sisters, Maeve and Aliana, play key roles in supporting him, but the burden of the throne weighs heavily on his shoulders. Aman must also contend with the fact that some in the kingdom still see him as the disabled prince and are skeptical of his ability to lead. To secure Eberon's future, Aman calls a meeting of the Council of Elders, a group of advisors who have served the kingdom for generations. This council includes his sister Maeve, who has taken on the role of chief advisor, as well as representatives from the outlying regions of the kingdom. Some of these elders are suspicious of Amon's rule, especially since he has returned with new ideas about governance, warfare, and diplomacy. Amon's vision for Eberon includes reforms that would strengthen the unity of the kingdom, such as integrating the warriors from the village of Carnarvon and other tribal groups into the royal army. However, some of the council members see these reforms as a threat to the traditional ways of the kingdom. They view Amon's reliance on foreign tactics and alliances as a potential weakness, fearing that it may dilute the purity of Eberon's ancient customs.